Okay, Randy, here's another issue. This is part of the shade tree stuff that whoever put this engine together. So, as what you can see on your new carburetor here, and when I removed your carburetor, you have these type of bolts right here. Okay, so these type of bolts, they're not good to use. This is like last ditch resort. The reason why is because when you put on for aluminum intake manifold, you don't really need that much torque just to seal it. You have gaskets and things of that nature that are in between, or else if you don't have anything such as this plate here, you just put your gasket down and you're good to go. When you use studs like what you see here, these are your brand new studs. These are Mr. Gasket, very good studs right here. And these two studs right here are pretty loose. They don't bite. Okay, when taking apart your other carb, that's what I noticed was that on these threads here, they've been pulling. You can see the difference. Hopefully you can see the difference between the gold here and then the silver there. That's just because it's been biting and tearing into the aluminum, which of course could have been one of your problems, but as far as your old carburetor not sealing, and also with the squirter too as well. But what happens is that when this bolt goes down, these type of bolts, when they go down, they do what? They grab and they pull. That's what these bolts are designed to do. All bolts, all fasteners, when they go in, they lock on and they pull. Well, for aluminum, where you have a softer material, that's why you use a stud. And the stud takes up, when you screw it down, yeah, the grab, yeah, but the stud is actually the one that's taking the brunt of the torque, not the threads. That's why you see 99.9% of the people, they use studs, carburetor studs. It's not a fancy thing. It's not something that's just show. It actually, even the manufacturers from Edelbrock, wherever, they don't tell you to use a bolt like this. They don't tell you to use this bolt. They tell you to use a carburetor stud, and they'll give you a kit and a part number for a kit for you to buy it separately. That's standard intake automotive 101 there. Not anything with you. I'm just saying whoever did this, they did it a shade tree route by using these on your old carburetor, which actually tore up your intake manifold. So my recommendation to you was to I can take off the intake manifold, but this car definitely has to go back to your house ASAP, because I got another customer that I told you that I got you in between his, and right now I really need this part of my garage. I can do this at your house, not a problem, but I really need to take this this intake manifold, take it off, send it up there to Goza machine up there, and he can do it, and just put 2 helicoils. So if you notice right here, let me show you. It's not it's loose, okay? Even if this thing was tight, get a little tight, but still it's loose, okay? It shouldn't be like that. So what's gonna happen when I bolt this thing, and I've already done it, was when I just put like 8 foot-pounds of torque, and that's it, it pops up on both sides here. So that could have been a problem for your carburetor, in addition to your front squirters not going. But that's definitely something here to where that was probably affecting your carburetor too as well. But as what you can see again here, if I tighten this down like I'm doing right now, it's still loose, okay? Even finger tight, it shouldn't move at all. And I got this thing finger tight, and sometimes it'll just go past. So that means that those 2 threads on that side are stripped. On your old carburetor, it's just, yeah, these just aren't good. You can quickly over torque these very easily. That's what these bolts are designed for. Just think of it even in manufacturing or anything else that you're doing at the home, at the house, anything else, or even when you're putting into headers or like anything else. These bolts take these bolts right here take a lot of torque, right? So for a carburetor, it's not good. When you're attaching a carburetor, you don't need this, okay? It takes only a minimum of like 8 pounds of torque just to torque the carburetor, and you're good and ready to ride off into the sunlight. These right here, it's too easy for these things just to grab onto aluminum, because you have aluminum threads in there, and these things right here, There's these right here. You'll just tear up the threads. You also have some other problems here. I was going to give you one of mine. Filter, valve cover filters here. I can't find it. Oh, here. So I was going to give you this one right here. You know, I mean, these things are pretty expensive. They're like about 30, 40 bucks each. So I was going to give you this. I mean, I was going to put this one on here instead of ordering it. But as you can see, this is for a small block Chevy. And it's still not going in. So maybe that's something there. If you want me to at your house, I can open this up and everything else. Just takes time. A lot of stuff is just time. Your second thing here that you need to be very concerned about. So talk to a couple buddies of mine. They drag race, they build racing engines, things of that nature. This right here for what you have is not needed. Whoever did this, maybe at one point somebody was drag racing this and then they put this setup on here. So this is for your coolant. You see this for a lot of racing setups to where racing to where that they are just they just don't want any hot spots within the coolant as far as to keep the engine extra cool. Sometimes they'll even have the setup drilled into the front and back of the heads too as well, and they'll do the same thing, but it'll be tilted over here. So this is more of a racing setup. But your thing that when you start talking about driving it and street ability and having a bunch of other accessories on there, it's really a pain because this wasn't thought out very well, whoever did this. Let me show you again. It's still the same way to which we've talked about already. You have those two hoses there that goes into your heater core. Those two hoses, I mean the outlet hoses, the outlet pipes are not manufactured or made for both of these. So you're leaking from one, you have a small leak from the other. What needs to happen is that they need to be flared. Flared means that this edge to capture into your braided line here. Let me put this back right there. Let me see here. I got it on there just a little bit. It's still loose though. But it needs to be flared from the pipe. It still leaks. I managed to get it snug up in there and everything else, but it still leaks. Basically, that outlet pipe, which is brass, needs to be flared up so this can catch on. That's some fabrication, and then you got to pull out. That's a lot of work to go underneath your dash and to pull out that whole heater core and everything else. And then just to do all that, you're gonna have to flare it and then take it. And then I'm gonna either I can do it, but you're really gonna have a fab guy to really just to take that off, and then you're gonna have to have that thing flared up. So the cheapest way to do this is to basically just to go back to stock on everything, and from that side here to go down here, just to remove all this. This is right here where you can see. Normally these intake manifolds have what's called pipe fittings or plug fittings, okay? And that's just like what you have right here. You have a plug fitting right here. Let me get to that right there. That's just a plug fitting, right there. You can actually do that up here and up here. Normally when you buy a new intake manifold, you probably would already just have that, and you just put in the pipe fittings in there. It seals that up. For your application here, from front to back, I'm just telling you, man, they did it in a janky way. Even this part is smaller, well, back here is smaller than here. They just put their fittings, it's like they just took the fittings and everything else. It's just not the same. And basically just a whole new set of hoses, and that's it, and some plugs. It's cheap. I mean, the kit for the pipe fitting kit may cost like about $10, $10 or $12 and just for the plugs, it comes in a package of different sizes, but they should have 4 of them, so it's about $10, I think, for a package. And then for the hoses, of course, just go back to black hoses, go one to here, and then one coming from somewhere else that we can run. And then either going from here or going down into either here or here, but basically just repiping it and just making it back to more stock. That'll give you more drivability. It's easier, but you know, they try to do the cool factor and everything else, but for functionality, it's not working, man. It's just not working. So that's my recommendation. Even this piece right here is a lot smaller than here. It's just not, I mean, yeah, it's just, they did it janky. Also, you have some other electrical issues here. I think I've already moved those moved those somewhere else. This is only being held on by one little tiny bolt here. I'm just letting you know, but this is what controls a lot of your power and electrical. That was kind of jacked up. I try to clean that up into as well. But yeah, man. Yeah. So anyway, so we can do it. Oh, and then your coil, dude. This is asking for trouble here, but your coil is just hanging here. It's fine. For right now, but there's no place around here to put that coil. I guess we could relocate that coil. We have to get a longer coil wire, but you don't have any space here. Again, this engine was set up for drag race, everything else, for somebody to race it. It wasn't set up for streetability, and whoever dropped it in, they just tossed it in and didn't think about how to make the thing functional for the street. So it's really hindering into your into streetability, and it's also, they've done some dumb things like using bad carburetor, and then also using bolts that shouldn't have been used. So anyway, man, let me know. Oh, and then this piece right here, when I did have your engine running and everything else earlier, this thing is screaming. When you hit onto the throttle, it was definitely screeching and everything else. I don't even think that's even the right fan belt. I've looked at your pulley system here. If you look at your pulley system here, you can see that you have grooves that go vertical. Okay, hopefully that you're able to see that. Let me see if I can get a look. Okay, there you go. You can see where you have lines and everything else. This one, when you turn this over, hopefully you can see some of that here. I'm trying to see because I got your fan in the way. Not sure if you can see my hand. Come on. But this is not set up for this type of pulley. So we're gonna have to get another belt. We're gonna have to get another belt. This is just the wrong type of belt. Totally. I mean, just totally wrong. I don't know where they got this one at. I still gotta look this thing up. But I don't even think this is, this isn't even for this type right here. So it screeches, So I'm sure you've heard this thing screech. But everything else, and then this, I let you have this thing right here too as well. I got to charge you for this because this thing costed me some money and it's gone. But anyway, this right here, I gave that one to as well, so I put that one on here. So just trying to make it as cheap as I can for you, man. But there's some obstacles here, man, that's really hindering. This right here is hitting up against here, but that's not a big deal. It's just more about functionality, you getting it to work. Now, if you want, we can basically what we can do, I guess. But see, this is braided line. This is already fitted. So what we can do is that we can block off that right there, and we can just block it off and just take these off from here. Block off this one. Let me see here. No, so this one's gonna have to go to here. Basically, it's blocking off the heater outlets, and then keeping these two on, but then we're gonna have to get another pair of braided lines, and then to go down to have a shorter braided line. So you have to cut these, put this on here, make this shorter, measure this out, and then have it come from here, and then have another U joint, which you have two of the couplers, I guess. So you can just make one, and then buy another coupler, and then have it come from the water pump up to here, and then that way it's cycling down through the water pump. So that's another option there. But that just takes time to, you gotta order the hose, cut it, and then you definitely gotta cut it because this is real, it's steel. So man, this has been a chore here. Okay. Anyway, man, give me a call. I think you might be on a boat or something like that, or you might be on a boat or something. So just give me a call back when you get back in the land, man. Let me know how you want to easiest way, again, I think I texted you, is just to remove this and this, plug the one, just the 4 plugs to plug it. You're back to stock. It's not going to harm anything. You're not drag racing, okay, to where critical you're running at 10,000 RPMs. That's the only reason why people do this type of stuff, is like when you're running like at 10,000 RPMs, you're anywhere from 6 to 8,000, 10,000 RPMs, and the engine's getting really hot. You don't want any hot spots going through your coolant, and so that helps that. You probably have a electric fan and everything else. You're really keeping this thing cool, right, as much as possible. You're just going to the street, man. You don't need this setup. So I've consulted with several people who build who build engines. I've also talked to Tommy Egoza about your setup. That's the same guy that's going to have your intake manifold sent up. We'll to dip it. They'll clean it. They'll put the 2 helicoils in. You're probably looking at probably like about $50-$60. Okay. But your intake manifold will look nice and shiny and everything else, and then it'll be nice and fresh. Put the intake manifold back down and you're good to go. Put the carburetor back on, you should be good to go. Anything else? There were a couple other things that I had to get for you, but yeah. Then let me see here. So just give me a call and let me know. I know that there was there was a couple other things too as well. These are things that trying to help you out, man. So just give me a call and I'll remember it. All right, thanks a lot, man. Have fun. Everything else, give me a call. Again, this is either the takeoff is just time consuming, okay? Because you just got to put the plugs and take up everything. Carburetor started up nice. Everything else. Oh, then I put your electric choke on, ran that. Again, your wiring is like vicious from hell, but I think a lot of your stuff was just chopped and everything else. Anyway, but ran that to here. This is going to your power and everything else. 12-volt supply, so everything should be good. But I'm gonna have to take everything else off, and so just let me know what you want me to do. All right, thanks, man. All right, bye.